Welcome to NewsNation's Backscroll, where we look back at our major news coverage on the most important topics and personalities of our time.
First things first, though, I want to go to our Nancy Liu. She's our correspondent. She's live out in front of the home where that 911 call originated, the home where the report was that there were big green men and a big crash out in front. So, Nancy, you had a chance to actually talk to the family members today. They're so skittish. They don't want to go on camera, but you talked to them. What did they say?
Yeah, they refused an interview request, but I did talk to Angel. He is the teenager you hear in that 911 call. I also spoke with his father. I can tell you they are both skittish, they're anxious, and they're scared. And the family is basically in lockdown inside their house. They've shut down. They claim they're being threatened and by people who, are accusing them of engaging in an elaborate hoax, which they deny. They have stuck by their story that something happened in this backyard, that there were creatures out there. And, in talking with people around here, it wasn't just Angel who saw it. His brothers saw it, and his father also came out and saw it. And I, met Angel, I met his father. They seem like reasonable people. He seems like a nice kid, and it seems like a very nice family here. So,
okay,
there you go.
So that's intriguing. I mean, the plot thickens. Talk to me a little bit about what you're learning about the streak in the sky. It was caught on the police body cam. Perhaps that ring cam also captured something, because it sounded like a whizzing, whistling, crashing sound. What are you hearing about it?
Yeah, there seems to be consensus that there was a meteorite that night. But was there something else? Because we're hearing of something streaking from east to west, but also from west to east. And I can tell you that there's an entire community of people around here who do not discount what this family is saying. I spoke with someone today. His name is Ryan Burns. He is a podcaster. He is the founder of Space Wolf Research. He actually headed out yesterday on a boat out to Lake Mead, spent the entire day out there with a source that I also met today. They were searching for anything unusual because there were reports of possibly something being shot down or pieces of a non-human craft falling into Lake Mead, and also suspicious activity out there. But take a listen to this, because he said there's all kinds of credible chatter that warranted further investigation.
Absolutely, the sources that we're getting it from are 100% credible. They are not only former military intelligence in many cases, but still have connections to people that are boots on the ground actually involved with this case. Lake Mead, we are hearing that there was sightings by people around the lake who witnessed what appeared to be a lot of military vehicles that were around the lake looking for something, and posted up for quite some time directly after this event.
And does military activity lend itself to the claims of the Pentagon whistleblower of some kind of covert military activity? Also, the streak in the sky. We spoke to the American Meteor Society, who says the body cam video, that green ball, they're almost certain it was a meteor.
It was a meteor that was larger than normal, probably the size of a basketball up to a beach ball, traveling at tremendous speed. And when it strikes the atmosphere, it starts to vaporize, and that friction causes a very, very bright flash. We're certain it was a meteor because of the duration of the event. Most everybody reported that lasted between 2 and 5 seconds, and that's much too fast to be a re-entering satellite or a rocket. So and the fact that it was seen over such a wide area is a darn good indication that it was a fireball.
That's 21 reported sightings across 3 states, California, Nevada, Utah. So that fireball seen by a number of people, but only here do we have the claims of seeing non-human creatures. And again, this family is standing by that story, and they're afraid to elaborate anymore.
Of course, anything's possible in this crazy world. For a little bit more on the science, Liberty Vittert here happens to be the host of MIT's data science podcast, Data Nation, feature editor of the Harvard Data Science Review, professor at Washington University in St. Louis. The court has accepted you as an expert, at least in the numbers part. You feel like you're an expert in everything, I guess, but hey. All right, this is TV. So, look, let's deal first with the question, are there aliens? It seems as though there almost certainly have to be, right?
There's 2 questions here. The first is, does life exist elsewhere? And the second, is that life intelligent enough to be thought of as an alien? You know, what
well, and third, has it ever visited us?
Third, has it ever visited us?
Okay, there's 3 questions.
So statistically speaking, the concept that there is life elsewhere is almost 100%. The chance that it's intelligent, that this life that exists is intelligent, is about 60%.
So how since, look, typically science, you look backwards and you go, you know, you were able to run this fast earlier, or, you know, you flipped a coin this many times, it's 50-50, there you go. How, since we've never been able to determine this, how do we get to the idea that it's 60% and it's not 6% or 99.6%?
So we get to this through something called Bayesian statistics, which sounds fancy, but it's not. It's just the chances that these things have happened. Life on Earth started about 5 billion years ago. As soon as it wasn't too hot, life started. So if you assume these other planets follow the same trajectory as Earth, which is what, when you're talking about how many coins you flipped, what's the chance? What's the chance that there's planets like Earth out there that exist in the same space and the same time? So if you make that assumption, which is an assumption, that there are other planets like Earth, and we know there are other planets like Earth, then there are the chances that life has arisen and that life could potentially be intelligent. And that's
so now we're at 60%. So to estimate the number of alien life is the Drake equation.
The Drake equation is used to estimate alien life, and it takes into account these possibilities, these probabilities. So the bigger then question comes, have aliens visited us? The chance, I would say, of that, I'm a statistician, I never want to say 0%. Could a golden retriever, you know, attack you? Sure, a golden retriever could. Are they? No. So, like, I don't want to say 0%, but it's basically 0%, because the closest alien population is probably about 20 million years away. Now, that means there are not little green men running around Earth. There is a chance that some of their technology has visited us. And Professor Avi Loeb, who you've had on, who I work with at Harvard, he is studying this. And there is the possibility that there have been items that have landed on Earth, landed in the ocean, that are from alien populations. That chance is real.
How long would it take to reach alien life? Assume a box that's 2,000 light years on each side. It will contain 100 million stars. In 100 million star boxes, there is one sophisticated civilization. That means the nearest aliens are probably 1 to 2,000 light years away. Today's fastest rockets would take 20 million years to get there. We assume that there is nobody who is more sophisticated than us in this equation. But if you're the other professor at Harvard, Avi Loeb, who we had on, fantastic interview, he made the point that they may have technology that we don't, and if that crashed into Earth, that would be some of the evidence that we're seeing.
Exactly. That does not mean there are aliens that have crashed into Earth. It just might be that their technology has come to Earth. That's a very different thing and very different ability to have a living being come to Earth versus just some of their technology.
Yeah, no, but still, if the idea of still studying this is fascinating. All right, Liberty, it's good to see you. Thank you very much.
Hey, does NASA have a plan in place for what to do if the United States ever discovers evidence of alien life somewhere out there? Well, one scientist with the agency says yes. During a recent event in New York City, Michelle Fowler, Assistant Director for Science Communication at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center, said that the agency has had talks about what happens if the James Webb Space Telescope finds evidence of extraterrestrial life. And new this morning, exclusive NewsNation polling finds that a majority of Americans think that UFOs are linked to intelligent alien life, with 18% saying it's very likely the two are in fact related. Here to weigh in is theoretical physicist Avi Loeb, director of the Institute for Theory and Computation at Harvard Center for Astrophysics. Professor, thanks for being with us. Once again, good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
So are you surprised that NASA is having these kinds of conversations? And what do you think the plan in place is if they do, in fact, find evidence of alien UFO life out there?
Well, I'm glad to hear that they are open to that possibility. Unfortunately, they have not pursued it very diligently. There aren't many funds allocated to the search for technological signatures. It's a small budget that is allocated for that. Most of the attention is given to searching for microbes, either on Mars or signatures in the atmospheres of distant planets. And that's what the statement refers to. It would be much more interesting to actually check if there are any packages in our backyard, any objects that arrive there, which is pretty much what I'm pursuing in recent years.
And you and I, Professor, we've been talking on this show for the last 3 months about this story, but I don't think I've asked you this question. I thought of it this morning. For most of us outsiders, when we hear alien life, we do think of those little green men that have been depicted in cartoons, movies. But for you, sir, when you hear alien, what's the vision that comes to mind of what you think that truly might be and might look like?
Well, I'm trying to be practical. They may be green out there, but what would visit us, the encounter, will likely be with technological gadgets, because the trip takes very long, millions to billions of years. And biology was not designed to survive that long in the harsh conditions of space. And so what I expect is some gadget. Now, it could be space trash, the way that our probes would appear in millions or billions of years. They will not be functional anymore. And you will see an object burning up in the atmosphere that happened to be some spacecraft that is not working anymore. The second possibility is that it's still working with some artificial intelligence. It has a brain, which is technological. And that would be, of course, quite amazing to find, because we could get inspired. We could import these technologies. We could go to space ourselves by figuring out how they do it. And so that's what I'm hoping to encounter. But you see, when we imagine things, it's based on our experience. I don't think it's a good practice to prepare for a date by looking at the mirror.
Yeah, well, it would be amazing, and they could be green. You heard it here. And one last question for you, sir. We did take a poll. According to the most recent NewsNation poll, a majority of Americans, 53%, believe that intelligent life does exist on other planets. Do you think that NASA's apparent willingness to be open about these conversations about the potential for extraterrestrial life is because the majority of Americans now believe it? And did you ever expect this day to come?
Yeah, I do believe that we should attend to the public's interest, because the public funds NASA, funds science. And it's irresponsible of the scientific community to dismiss it altogether, given that the U.S. military and intelligence agencies are talking about it. There was a hearing in the House of Representatives about it. And moreover, we just went to the Pacific Ocean and found the molten droplets from the surface of an object that came from outside the solar system. So altogether, I think it's very exciting times. I didn't expect it, but, I welcome it very much.
Yeah, and it's only going to get more interesting from here, I feel. Professor, thanks for joining us once again.
More than half of Americans believe aliens exist, according to NewsNation's exclusive New Decision Desk HQ poll. 63% believe the U.S. government has more information about extraterrestrial life than what's been publicly shared. The new poll results come 1 month after lawmakers held an historic hearing on UFOs, renewing a push for more transparency about UFOs, which other countries have allowed for years. Take a look. This supposed flying disc caused a sensation in Brazil in 1952, but unlike in the U.S., Brazil never treated the object as top secret. Uruguay, Argentina, Chile, Peru all have governmental programs investigating UFOs. All of those programs are on public record. Let's bring in Kelly Chase, host of the UFO Rabbit Hole podcast. Kelly, thank you so much for your time. Are you surprised at how many Americans think the U.S. government is hiding something?
I'm definitely surprised. This has been a long time coming, and I think that if you had given that same poll even a year ago, you would have seen very different numbers. But it really goes to show the progress that's being made and that the American people have real questions about what's going on in Washington right now with the hearings and, David Grush coming forward as a whistleblower. So this is a really exciting progress to see.
And Kelly, why do you think these numbers are so high? Because you mentioned the hearing there in Washington, because this is really across political lines.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that what a lot of people find when they start to look into this topic at all is that there's a lot more evidence there than they probably anticipated. We've all been raised to kind of scoff at this and laugh at it. But as soon as you start to really dig into the information, there's a lot of evidence there. And there's also the fact that David Grush himself is someone who has a really sterling background within the intelligence community, that this has been a kind of a groundswell that's been going on since 2017. So I think it's just slowly leaking into the public consciousness, and people are finding that there's more there than they thought.
And Kelly, is this a matter maybe of how the government has handled the topic of UFOs, of UAPs, essentially refusing to talk about the topic? Because, of course, it's possible there was never much to tell, but because they wouldn't talk about it and be open about it, it automatically raises suspicions.
Absolutely. And I think that a lot of these things were decisions that were made probably decades ago at the end of World War II, going into the Cold War. That's what we're seeing in other countries who are more open about this stuff. But due to the political climate, maybe they decided that it wasn't a great time to talk about it. Something you hear from members of the intelligence community all the time is that you can't tell your friends something without telling your enemies. So there might have seemed to have been really good reasons for that secrecy at the beginning. But as anyone who tells a secret knows, once you've told one secret, it takes a lot more secrets to cover it up. And so that might be part of what we're dealing with here.
Absolutely. And we'll certainly see what happens, because this polling reveals Americans want to know. All right, Kelly Chase, thank you for your time. Here now, writer and podcaster Micah Hanks, host of the Micah Hanks program, which delves into UFO sightings. Micah, thank you so much for your time. We just heard from Joe there. No bombshells coming out of this report. Is this what you expected?
Well, I think to an extent we all sort of expected that this would be a little less than we all hoped for. My publication, The Debrief, which, has played a very crucial role in breaking some of these stories, including some of the whistleblower claims recently. We've been watching this now for years, and we always go in with measured expectations. But I have to say, taking the bird's eye view here, it's good to see science being applied toward this. I know that there were limitations with this study, but with the resources they had, the time they had, the funding, it's a breath of fresh air in many ways to see science being applied toward this, and seeing officials now with multiple agencies, not just the DoD and its All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, but also with NASA now saying, look, we've got some really sophisticated equipment looking at this, and we don't know what all these things are.
Mike, I like what you said there about science being applied to this. The report acknowledges more data is needed because some encounters still can't be explained. What kind of data do you think they still need?
Well, this has always been the problem when it comes to UAP, or, what have historically been known as UFOs, unidentified flying objects. People see things. People say that they've had experiences where they saw things in the skies. But really only since the Second World War have we had different kinds of instrumental capabilities with radar and now more advanced systems in the modern era that allow us to corroborate those visual sightings. So NASA is saying, look, we've got excellent satellite systems that are observing the Earth 24 hours a day from multiple vantage points. That would be useful. We also can put our air networks to work, and also try and get better visuals. Basically, everybody's got a small sensor system in their pocket with smartphones, so we can put smartphones to work and be collecting imagery and other sensor data, even from those devices people carry around with them. So some of this stuff is readily accessible, literally at people's fingertips, but NASA's saying it needs to be combined in the approach toward trying to collect better data and a whole lot more of it.
All right, Micah, really quickly, before we let you go, do you think there's more they're not telling us?
Well, obviously, there were some issues with transparency today. They wouldn't name the new director of the UAP research efforts within NASA. Of course, there's going to be some things that the public can't know about. I do appreciate NASA's efforts toward transparency. We can always hope we'll learn as much as possible.
We certainly hope that. All right, Micah Hanks, thank you. Thank you for watching. Go to NewsNation.now.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.